In this presentation, we're going to talk about storage facility design with a particular emphasis on sites and buildings. And the subject areas we're going to cover are the following: the reasons for storing cold chain products, storage facility types and their differing functions, site location, access and security issues. We'll then move on to general building design issues and finish off with the design of incoming and outgoing goods areas. So let's think about why we store cold chain products. Depends a bit on who you are. If you're a manufacturer, there are a number of reasons why you might want to store your products. For example, benefiting from the economies of long production runs and providing a buffer between different manufacturing operations. You may also want to bridge planned and unplanned production shutdowns. And if you're supplying product to customers, you want to be able to buffer the supply and demand variations that occur in any supply chain, for example, seasonal fluctuations. You may also want to make procurement savings by bulk purchasing your precursor materials. And finally, you want to make the best possible use of your delivery vehicles. For example, by using full vehicles or by using the largest vehicles you possibly can. On the other hand, if you're a wholesaler, retailer, or public health program, your principal driver is the ability to be able to supply a wide range of products from different suppliers from one location. In addition, you want to do some of the same things that the manufacturer wanted to do. You want to be able to buffer your supply and demand variations. You want to make procurement savings by bulk purchasing from your suppliers. And you also want to make the best possible use of your transport fleet. We'll now turn to the different facility types in the supply chain. The first of these is a consolidation center. In these sort of warehouses, multiple products are held so that orders can be picked for onward delivery to customers. During the process of delivery, there may be transfer of goods from one type of vehicle to another. And one of the types of facility where this is done is a cross-dock center, where there's a direct transfer from an incoming to an outgoing vehicle without any storage taking place at all. A similar sort of facility is called a transshipment point. Here again, no storage is involved. Orders for individual customers are picked at a central location, transported in bulk in large vehicles to the transshipment point, where they're split into individual orders for individual customers for delivery in small local delivery vehicles. If you're a pharmacy, you're only going to hold working stock and dispense products directly to customers. If you're a service delivery point, again, you're only going to hold working stock. In this case, you're administering product directly to patients. In this presentation, we'll be largely concentrating on consolidation centers, pharmacies, and service delivery points. This diagram shows an example of a supply chain for a typical immunization system. All immunization supply chains have a primary store, one or more primary stores, usually at national level, which receive products direct from the vaccine manufacturer. The vaccine manufacturer may be an indigenous supplier, or it may be an international supplier. At the bottom of the supply chain is the health facility that receives vaccine through the supply chain for administration to children and other patients. And in between these two key levels, there may be several intermediate storage points. We show here a subnational store at regional level and another at provincial level, and small stores at district level. But different supply chains have different numbers of levels. If we look at the facility types involved in this sort of supply chain, we can see that at the lowest level we have a service delivery facility. All the other levels are consolidation centers. We can also see from the diagram, looking at the left-hand side, that each of these types of facility has characteristic cold chain equipment. Starting at the health facility, many of these will have refrigerators of one type or another. But smaller health facilities in countries with poor or absent electricity may rely entirely on cold boxes, with the immunization being given directly from vaccines kept in the cold box. At higher levels, there's a mix of refrigerators, freezers, and cold rooms, with the highest level stores relying largely on cold rooms and freezer rooms. Turning now to the question of site location. This is a critical issue for consolidation centres. They may need to be conveniently located close to an airport. For national stores which receive vaccine from an international suppliers, this is important. For countries which have to deliver their vaccines over long distances where road transport is not suitable, again there may be need for air transport, and location close to an airport in these situations is also important. All these facilities need good access to the road network, and they should be located in such a way as to minimize risk from natural hazards such as flooding, because when you're storing large quantities of valuable products, you cannot afford to lose them. The drivers at the retail and service delivery point level are different. Here, the predominant requirement is the convenience of the customer or the patient. These facilities need to be accessible for deliveries, but this is less important than closeness to the point of use for the patient or the customer. We now turn to the question of site access. Larger facilities must be suitable for all the types of delivery vehicle that are used to supply that facility. So there's got to be safe access to and from the site, and adequate road widths and parking areas and turning areas within the site itself. In addition, if products are offloaded from vehicles using forklift trucks and other mechanical handling equipment, you need to be sure that the road surface is suitable for the type of equipment you're going to be using. If you're offloading directly into the building via a loading dock, you need to make sure that the loading dock is arranged so that it can be adjustable to suit the full range of delivery vehicles that are going to be visiting the site. If you're using refrigerated vehicles, either for collection or distribution, you need to make sure that an electrical outlet is available so that the vehicle can be plugged into it in order to prepare it for deliveries or to keep it operating at the correct temperature during the offloading operation. Site security is a critical issue, especially in larger stores where large quantities of very valuable commodities may be kept and where there's a risk of theft if they're not properly secured. So there needs to be good entrance control to the site. This may involve a guard room with closed-circuit television and monitoring within the guard room of the entire site operation. There obviously needs to be secure perimeter fencing and secure gates, and there also needs to be good artificial lighting to make sure that no incursions during the night time occur without being observed. It's turning now to the question of the design of the actual store building. It's important that store buildings are either purpose designed for the particular type of operation being carried out, or if an existing building is being adapted, it's correctly adapted for the purpose. Buildings should be designed to suit the prevailing climate and to minimize energy consumption, because this lowers the cost of the storage operation. And they should be constructed using robust, easy to clean, low maintenance materials. The example we show here of a warehouse for a brewery company in the UK is a particularly good example of a low energy warehouse where a great deal of thought has gone into the selection of materials and where climate control is achieved entirely by passive means. Breweries require quite close temperature control, and this building requires no mechanical cooling whatsoever. If you're operating in developing countries with limited resources, it's a good idea to build using locally available materials and building techniques, because this makes the best use of available resources and available labour. And all storage facilities must be designed to minimize hiding and nesting places for pests, because pest control is an extremely important issue in storage building design. We now move on to the design of incoming and outgoing goods areas. In consolidation centres, you typically have a receiving and a dispatch bay. These may be combined in smaller facilities, but however they're arranged, they must be protected from the weather and shaded from the sun. The example we give here of goods being offloaded onto the tarmac outside the store, entirely unprotected and exposed to weather and sunshine, is totally unacceptable for warehouse facility storing cold chain products. Receiving bays need to be equipped with cleaning facilities to allow reusable shipping containers to be washed before they're reused for further dispatch operations. Turning now to pharmacy and service delivery points, here we're only receiving goods. No dispatching takes place. The requirements are very limited. Mostly delivery will be through the front door off the street, and this is perfectly acceptable. Only in larger facilities such as general hospitals will you have a proper receiving bay of the type we described previously. In this presentation, we've seen that there are many factors to consider when designing or selecting a storage building. The efficient operation of the supply chain is entirely dependent upon high-quality, well-managed buildings and site layouts. If these issues are ignored, the products being stored will be placed at risk. All the topics we've covered are described and discussed in the recent WHO document on the storage and transport of time and temperature-sensitive pharmaceutical products.